pay you $1 million if you pretend to be my wife.
I'll pay you $1 million if you pretend to be my wife. He whispered it without emotion, as if offering a business deal, not a lie that could ruin reputations. Crystal glasses clinked around them. Laughter echoed through the ballroom. No one noticed the moment her entire world froze. She didn't smile, she didn't step back. She looked at him the way no one else in that room dared to. Not impressed, not afraid. He was a billionaire surrounded by power and influence, desperate enough to need a wife for one night. She was a woman with nothing to lose, and a past no amount of money could erase. What began as a cruel offer would force them both to confront secrets buried for years, and a choice that would stun the elite watching from the shadows. Before we begin this emotional story, tell us in the comments from which city you are watching, and don't forget to leave your like to keep following us. The music softened as the auctioneer stepped away from the podium, and the ballroom exhaled into polite applause. The charity gala resumed its rhythm. Champagne poured, smiles returned, deals whispered behind raised glasses. Yet she remained still, her spine straight, her hands lightly clasped in front of her, as if movement itself might betray something fragile inside her. Across from her, he waited. His name carried weight in New York. People leaned toward him without realizing they were doing it. Doors opened before he reached them. Tonight, however, there was a faint crack beneath the polish, a tightness at the corner of his jaw, a glance, brief but sharp, toward a group of board members watching from across the room. She followed his gaze and understood just enough. "This is insane," she said quietly, her voice steady despite the pulse hammering in her ears. "It's temporary," he replied. "One appearance tonight. A few more if necessary. No intimacy, no expectations." He paused, then added lower, "I need stability. They need to see it." She let out a breath through her nose, not a laugh, not quite. "And you thought, me? You were standing alone," he said. "And you didn't ask who I was." That stung more than she expected. She looked around, the gowns, the diamonds, the ease with which people occupied space. She did not belong here. She had come to deliver documents, nothing more. In an hour, she would have been back on the street, counting subway stops and unanswered emails. $1 million, she repeated, not as a question. Yes. She imagined overdue bills stacked on her kitchen table, a phone call she had been avoiding, a promise she had made and didn't know how to keep. The number echoed absurd and heavy, but it wasn't what made her hesitate. It was the way he looked at her now, not mocking, not superior, expectant. "If I say yes," she said, meeting his eyes, "you don't get to control how I stand, or what I say." A flicker of surprise crossed his face, then something else, respect perhaps. He nodded once. Agreed. From the edge of the room, a woman whispered. A man frowned. Someone lifted a phone and thought better of it. The elite had noticed. He offered his arm. She stared at it for a heartbeat too long, then placed her hand there. His sleeve was warm, solid. As they stepped forward together, cameras turned. Smiles froze, assumptions shattered, and neither of them realized that the lie they had just agreed to would demand a truth neither was ready to face. The flash of cameras followed them like heat lightning as they crossed the ballroom. He kept his pace measured, his posture relaxed, as if this were the most natural thing in the world. She matched him step for step, though every instinct inside her screamed to pull away. "Smile," he murmured, barely moving his lips. She didn't. Instead, she lifted her chin and met the room with a calm that surprised even her. The murmurs grew louder, questions disguised as laughter, curiosity wrapped in disbelief. No one had known he was seeing anyone, certainly not someone like her. At the long table near the stage, one of his board members rose halfway from his seat, then slowly sat back down. Another leaned in to whisper something sharp into his wife's ear. The message was clear. This wasn't part of the plan. "Who is she?" someone asked, not quietly enough. She felt it land like a slap. Before she could stop herself, her fingers tightened slightly around his arm, not in fear, in warning. He noticed. "This is my wife," he said smoothly, stopping just long enough for the words to settle. Claire. The name wasn't hers. It sounded strange in her ears, like a coat borrowed from someone taller. but she nodded once, composed, offering a restrained smile that revealed nothing. "How long have you been married?" a man asked, his tone polite, his eyes surgical. He answered without missing a beat. "Long enough to know I don't need to explain my private life." The conversation shifted, uncomfortable now. She could feel the scrutiny crawling over her dress, her posture, the absence of diamonds at her throat. This room was trained to detect weakness, to expose imposters. When the questions finally eased, they moved toward a quieter corner near the terrace doors. Cold air pressed against the glass, fogging the city lights beyond. "You're doing fine," he said, low. "Better than fine." "This isn't fine," she replied. "This is a room full of people waiting for me to slip." "They're waiting for me to," he corrected. "You're just unexpected." She studied him then, really looked. The confidence was real, but so was the strain beneath it. A man used to winning, but tired of fighting battles no one else could see. "What happens after tonight?" she asked. He hesitated, just a fraction too long. "That depends," he said, "on how convincing this is." From across the room, a woman with a familiar face stared at them, her expression hardening into recognition. Someone from his past, or hers. The doors to the terrace opened, letting in a sharp gust of winter air, and with it the first sign that this arrangement was about to cost far more than either of them had planned. The terrace doors closed behind them, sealing the noise of the gala inside. Out here the city breathed differently. Traffic hummed below. A cold wind threaded between buildings, sharp enough to sting her cheeks. She wrapped her arms around herself, more instinct than discomfort. He noticed and removed his jacket without a word, draping it over her shoulders. The gesture was automatic, almost unconscious. When he realized what he had done, his hand lingered for a second too long, then pulled back. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You don't owe me politeness," he replied. "Not tonight." They stood side by side, not touching, staring at the city that seemed to promise everything and forgive nothing. For the first time since the whisper, the silence between them felt heavy instead of charged. "You didn't answer my question," she said. "I did," he answered. "I just didn't give you the truth." She turned to face him. "Try again." He exhaled slowly, the breath visible in the cold air. "After tonight there are meetings, investors, lawyers. If this looks stable enough, they stop pushing. If it doesn't, I lose control of my own company." That landed. "So I'm leverage," she said, not accusing. "Clarifying?" "Yes," he admitted. "And before you walk away," he paused, "I'll make it worth your time. More appearances, clear terms. You keep your life, I keep mine." She thought of the life he assumed she had. The small apartment, the unanswered voicemail, the envelope tucked into her bag, edges worn from being folded and unfolded too many times. "You don't know what you're asking," she said. "I know exactly what I'm asking," he replied. "I just don't know what it will cost you." A door opened behind them. The woman from inside stepped onto the terrace, heels clicking sharply against the stone. Elegant, composed. Her eyes moved from him to her, narrowing. "So it's true," the woman said. "You finally decided to settle down." "Not now," he said. The woman smiled thinly. "Of course not. You never like being cornered." Her gaze returned to her. "And you are." She felt the question like a test. Old instincts rose, deflect, disappear, apologize. Instead, she straightened. "I'm his wife," she said simply. The word hung in the air, fragile and dangerous. The woman studied her for a long moment, then let out a soft, humorless laugh. "Careful," she said. "Men like him don't marry. They acquire." With that, she turned and walked back inside. Silence followed. He looked shaken now, the armor cracked. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes," she said. "I did." She stepped back, handing him his jacket. "If we're doing this, we do it honestly. No treating me like an accessory." He took the jacket, his grip tightening. "Then we need to talk, really talk." Inside her bag, her phone vibrated. One call she couldn't ignore much longer. And suddenly, the $1 million felt like the smallest part of the deal. They didn't return to the ballroom together. He was pulled aside by advisors, hands gripping his arm, voices low and urgent. She slipped away toward the service corridor, her heels echoing against marble that no longer felt solid beneath her feet. The phone vibrated again. She stopped near a window overlooking the river and finally answered. "I told you I'd call back," she said softly. Silence on the other end. Then a tired breath. "We don't have more time." Her fingers tightened around the phone. She closed her eyes, pressing her forehead lightly against the cold glass. "I'm working on it." "That's what you said last week." "I know." Her voice cracked just barely. "Please, just give me a few days." When the call ended, she stayed there, staring at her reflection layered over the city lights. For a moment, the woman looking back at her seemed like a stranger, wrapped in borrowed elegance, standing in a world that could crush her without noticing. "Claire." She turned. He stood a few steps away, jacket back on, tie loosened. The mask he wore in public had slipped. Whatever pressure he had faced inside, it had left marks. "You disappeared," he said. "I needed air." "So did I." He hesitated, then gestured toward a quiet sitting room down the hall. "Come with me." The room was small, reserved for private conversations. The door closed behind them with a muted click. The noise of the gala faded, leaving only the low hum of the building and the city far below. "You don't have to explain anything," he said, leaning against the table. "But if this is going to continue, surprises can't come from my side only." She considered him, the offer, the million, the way he had looked when the woman on the terrace warned her. "There's someone depending on me," she said finally. "Someone I can't fail." His posture shifted. "A child?" "No." A pause. "My father." He waited. "He disappeared years ago," she continued. "Addiction, shelters, hospitals. I spent a long time pretending he was gone for good." Her voice steadied. "He isn't. And now he needs help I can't afford." The room felt smaller. "That phone call," he said, "was about him." "Yes." He nodded slowly, absorbing it. "You didn't say no when I made the offer." "No," she said, "but I didn't say yes for the reason you think." For the first time, he didn't respond immediately. He walked to the window, stared out at the city he owned pieces of, but never seemed to belong to. "My mother died believing I only cared about money," he said quietly. "She was wrong. But I never proved it." She looked at him then. Really looked. Not the billionaire, not the man in headlines, just someone else standing at a breaking point. A knock interrupted them. "Sir," a voice called from the other side. "They're asking for you. Together." He glanced at her. "This doesn't end tonight." She nodded. "I know." As they reached for the door, his hand hovered near hers, not touching, not retreating. Outside, the room waited. And so did the lie, growing heavier with every truth they shared. They re-entered the ballroom together, but something had shifted. The smiles returned on command, their movements synchronized, yet the air around them felt denser, charged with unspoken truths. Hands reached out to greet them. Glasses were raised. Compliments floated like smoke. To the room, they looked united, convincing. Too convincing. An older man stepped forward, silver-haired, eyes sharp with calculation. One of the primary investors. He took her hand briefly, his grip firm, assessing. "So this is the woman who finally did it," he said. "Congratulations." "Thank you," she replied evenly. His gaze lingered a moment too long. "Funny how no one heard about this until tonight." The man smiled. "Some things are worth protecting." She felt his hand settle at the small of her back, a silent signal. She leaned in slightly, just enough. The investor's eyes flickered, not satisfied. "Tomorrow morning," the man continued, "we'll want paperwork, public confirmation, transparency." He nodded. "Of course." When the investor moved on, her breath finally released. "They're tightening the net." "Yes," he said, "and someone is pulling the strings faster than I expected." Across the room, she saw the woman from the terrace speaking animatedly to a group near the bar. Their eyes met. The woman smiled, slow, deliberate. "She knows," she whispered. "I know." The night accelerated after that. Too many questions, too many glances. The lie demanded constant maintenance. Each answer had to be precise. Each touch had to look effortless. By the time the gala ended, Exhaustion pressed down on her bones. Outside, the cold hit them like a wall. The street was lined with black cars and waiting drivers. Flashes popped once more before finally fading. "Get in," he said, opening the door of the car. She hesitated, then did. The city slid past in silence. Streetlights smeared across the windows. For the first time since the offer, neither of them spoke. At a red light, she broke it. "If this falls apart, it won't," he said quickly. Then, more honestly, "I won't let it." She looked at him. "You can't control everything." He didn't argue. The car stopped outside her building, older, quieter, worlds away from the gala. He frowned slightly, taking it in. "This is where you live?" "Yes." He nodded once. No judgment, just observation. Before she could open the door, he spoke. "I'll have my legal team draft an agreement tomorrow, clear exit, protection for you." "And my father?" she asked. He met her eyes. "I'll help. No conditions." That scared her more than the million ever had. Upstairs, as she watched the car disappear, her phone buzzed again. A text this time. A photo attached. Her father, asleep on a shelter cot. And beneath it, a message from an unknown number. "Careful who you trust. This marriage won't end the way you think." Her hand trembled as she locked the screen. The lie was no longer just fragile. It was being hunted. The meeting room was colder than the ballroom had ever been. Glass walls, city views, faces trained not to reveal anything. She sat beside him at the long table, her hands folded neatly, her heart beating so hard she was sure someone could hear it. "This is a formality," one of the lawyers said. "We just need clarity." The woman from the terrace was there too, seated across from them. Calm, confident, waiting. "Your marriage," the investor continued, "has raised concerns, conflicting timelines, background checks that don't quite align." She felt the room tilt. He straightened. "If you have something to say, say it." The woman smiled. "I already did." Quietly. "I thought you'd appreciate discretion." A screen lit up at the end of the table. Photos, records, shelter intake forms. Her father. Her chest tightened. The air felt thin. "This arrangement," the woman said, "is built on a lie, and lies are bad for business." All eyes turned to him. He could fix this. She knew it. One sentence, one denial, one decision to let her take the fall. The contract protected him. The money could still change her life, just not her dignity. She inhaled, ready to stand. But he spoke first. "It was a contract," he said. The word landed like glass shattering. "It started that way." Gasps, murmurs. She closed her eyes. "And then," he continued, "it stopped being one." He stood. "You want transparency? Here it is. I asked her to pretend. She agreed because she needed help, not because she was for sale. And if this costs me my position, so be it." The room erupted. The woman's smile vanished. "This will destroy you," she said. "Then it will finally be honest," he replied. He turned to her. "You're free. No agreement. No obligation." Her throat burned. "And my father?" "I've already arranged his treatment," he said, "publicly in my name." Silence followed. Heavy. Unavoidable. She stood beside him, not as a wife, not as a paid role, but as a choice. And for the first time, the lie no longer owned them. The fallout was immediate, but quieter than anyone expected. He stepped away from the company weeks later, not forced, but choosing to. Headlines tried to frame it as scandal, then as sacrifice. Eventually, they lost interest. Power always moved on to the next name. She didn't. Her father entered treatment, slowly finding his way back from years spent disappearing. On quiet afternoons, she sat beside him in a modest room filled with sunlight, holding his hand, saying nothing. It was enough. They didn't rush into anything. Months passed before they met again. No contracts, no lawyers, no audience. Just a small cafe, a shared smile, and the strange relief of not pretending anymore. This time, he didn't offer money. He offered honesty, time, choice, and she chose freely. Later, at a community center he now funded quietly, a simple plaque was mounted near the entrance. No grand title. Just a reminder that dignity couldn't be bought, but it could be protected. The million-dollar lie had ended. What remained was something far rarer. A second chance, earned. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this heart-touching story. Tell us in the comments which moment touched you the most. Subscribe and turn on the bell to receive more stories that inspire and transform. Leave a like if you believe in the invisible strength of kindness, dignity, and family. And thank you for being part of this community that believes in stories with soul.